Canon's been working on developing computational photography. The first Canon camera to introduce computational capabilities was the Canon R50. But Canon's found a way to improve computational photography, but better. Should we expect these new capabilities to show up in the Canon EOS R7 Mark II, the EOS R5 Mark II, or the Canon EOS R1? Well, first, we need to look at Canon's patent application, JP 2024-057446, filed on October the 12th, 2022, and published April the 24th, 2024. Canon claims to provide an image processing apparatus, aka an image processor, capable of reducing processing time when a plurality of processing types, including composition, are performed. Yes, I know, this is a little bit hard to follow, so let me help you with the phrases just a little bit. So image processing apparatus, that's code engineering speak for the image processor. And where they talk about a plurality of images, well, it's just a fancy way of saying, and I'll admit, a rather strange way of saying, well, multiple images. What Canon's talking about here is computational photography. This is where we take multiple images, perform certain capabilities on each one, and then stitch them together into a single image. Apple made computational photography famous, taking several images, applying contrast functions to one, dynamic range to another, saturation, color correction, or background removal, or other capabilities, and then stitching them together into a single image, giving you much better photos than you otherwise would shooting with such a small sensor. So how is Canon able to get a patent on something that Apple is already doing and likely already has a patent or a series of patents in place? Well, I'll get to that in just a moment, but let's review some of the composition improvements. Firstly, Canon claims to clearly photograph the skin of a subject or a person, and one of the processes that Canon discloses in the patent application is making the skin look better by reducing the degree or roughness of the skin through image processing. And from reading the patent application in detail, I don't think we're talking about heavy filters. I think what we're talking about is improving how the skin looks, the color, the saturation, the lightness, the brightness, or the difference in how the light falls on your subject. And I know this is something you want to get done right when you're shooting. You want to set up the key light, your fill light, your background lights. Maybe it could be to do with other things within the frame. Maybe it could be to do with composition. But the real thrust of this patent application, while it's talking about computational photography, isn't computational photography. It's not about composition. It's not about these filters. It's about reducing the time it takes to process that final image. And I know what you're thinking. If you're shooting with your iPhone or your Samsung Galaxy, it doesn't take an awful lot of time to shoot an image. And then after shooting it with all these various plurality of images being taken, we have a very good looking shot on such a small sensored camera, whether it's in the bright sun or it's by candlelight. We get really amazing shots with computational photography in phones, and they've been doing it for year after year. But when it comes to digital stills cameras or digital hybrid cameras or stills hybrid cameras, well, it's been taking a little while to catch up. Canon, Sony, Nikon, Panasonic, it's not something that they've really been focused on. Digital computational photography, as we like to call it most of the times, well, it's, well, taking a look at Canon, the R50 is the first camera ever to provide us with, well, computational photography, where they're able to protect the shadows while also delivering on the highlights and the midtones. And it worked out pretty well, but we haven't seen it in any other cameras. But I am worried about how this patent application could be applied. I don't want to see TikTok-like filters that create an overly processed result, bearing no relation to the original subject. I do want to improve skin tones. I want to improve lighting. I want to protect the shadows, the highlights, and the midtones. I want to make the image look better. No, scratch that. I want to make the subject look better. I'm not looking for AI to fix everything, to make everything look overly processed, unnatural, and AI generated. So what do you think? What do you think of this patent application? Does it give you hope? Does it impress you? Do you own the Canon EOS R50, the R10? Would you see this computational photography of TikTok-like filters being added to those cameras seen as a positive or a negative for live streaming, for taking photography? or as a photographer shooting with the Canon EOS R5 or the R5 Mark II that's coming out, the R3 or the R1, see computational photography as a way of helping reduce your workflow, being able to improve the image, not overly changing the skin tones or making things look artificial, but giving you a photo that's a little bit more processed so that you don't have to take that raw photo into, well, your favorite imaging software. To be able to give you something that looks professional, that the client's going to be very happy with, that can save you time, and to be able to have some sort of a variable in there or a slider or something that can adjust how much it does it. I don't know. I think there is a potential for this. And if done right, we could see this in the upcoming Canon EOS R1 or the R5 Mark II. But where this capability is probably more useful and serves better is in cameras such as the R50 Mark II or the R10 Mark II or even the R7 Mark II. People come to these cameras from smartphones looking for something that can deliver better image quality, but are quite often surprised by the lack of computational photography. But for your work, the kind of work you do and with the camera you shoot, and please provide this in the comments section down below, how could computational photography benefit you in your work? What sort of filters would you like to see? What sort of enhancements or capabilities would you like to see in upcoming cameras such as the R5 Mark II, the R1, the R3 Mark II, or on more affordable cameras? And this is where I'd like to really create a really dynamic conversation here because, well, like you, everybody else on this channel is using different cameras, and to get different viewpoints of how this could be beneficial, that would be interesting. I don't want to see those TikTok-like filters, and while they can look good and make me look like Brad Pitt when he was 35, I'm not Brad Pitt, and I don't look like Brad Pitt, and I'm nowhere close to 35. I do want cameras to make me look a little bit better than I do, but I want it to be me. I don't want somebody to look at it and say, like, that doesn't look like you at all. What I want them to say is, wow, you look good in the camera, or well, you know what I mean, a camera makes you look good. That sort of thing. I'm photogenic, not fake. But now it's time for deals of the week. The aforementioned Canon EOS R50 is $50 off at $629, or $750 with the RF 18 to 45 millimeter. The R5 is still on sale at $31.99, and Adorama, they're still tossing in a 128 gigabyte CF Express Type B card and card reader. The Nikon Z8 is also still on sale at $300 off, and $400 off we can still find the Nikon Z6 Mark II and the Nikon Z7 Mark II. And if you're interested in buying any of these cameras, lenses, or accessories that I've talked about in this video and others, then please consider using my affiliate links in the description down below. These guys right here. I do get anywhere from 2 to 12% back, which goes right to helping this channel. It's one of the ways you can help this channel by buying something for yourself. By clicking on these links, they don't By clicking on these links, they don't take you to any strange place. They take you directly to B&H or Adorama or Amazon, just as though you went to these sites yourself. The only difference is I get a small commission back. You don't have to enter any codes or anything else. And a big thanks to those of you that have purchased using my links in the past, whether it's that Nikkor 800mm f6.3 or just a pack of small 128 gigabyte SD cards. It's all appreciated. Thank you so much. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, for contributing to this channel, for participating in the discussions, the comments, following me on Twitter. And unfortunately, the last couple of weeks, I haven't been doing my best job at responding to your comments because, well, as I told you previously, my car was stolen, but I now have a replacement. I was shopping in town at Newmarket Honda, and the sales guy there, Justin, if you're in the Newmarket area, very, very non-salesman-like. He was really, really nice. The first night I was talking to him, they were already closed, and he still took time to talk to me. It was only after I asked for a test drive, he said they were already closed. But we came back the next day, we took it for a test drive, a good test drive, street, highway, and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go into the boring details for you, but you know, very patient with us. And when it came to the negotiation, we basically only did 3 rounds, and it was pretty simple. So at the end of the day, I got the car. Everything he said was honest, and I think that's very, very important. There was no hidden admin fees. It was all part of the price, which is what you're supposed to see in law, but A lot of companies, they violate that. They don't. They say, oh, that's extra. And that was not the case here. So again, a big thanks, Justin. If you're watching, probably not. He's not into cameras. But so I do have a few more problems I got to deal with. So I got to switch the tires, put the all seasons on, take the snows up, put the rims on. I'm going to have somebody else do that because it's going to take about 3 hours. And of course, I'm going to put a kill switch in this one to help prevent, to reduce the risk that this one will get stolen. But a big thanks to all of you still watching to the end of this video. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon. It's almost the weekend here, but I don't know if this video is going out on the weekend or after the weekend. I'm expecting more Canon EOS R5, R1 type news, so this might get bumped. I think I've still got 2 videos that have already been recorded and that have been sitting and waiting, but we've gotten so many news in the past week that it's just delayed things. But again, thank you so much for watching, subscribing, following me on Twitter. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon. Have yourself a great night. And I don't know how to end this video. I've got myself locked into one of those circular conversations. So I'll just say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Cheers.